Hi, everybody. So, yesterday we filmed our podcast episode at Double House Arts, but then when Kathleen tried to edit things together, she realized that there was background music playing on the TV when we were filming at Double House Arts, and copyright issues arose with that. So we are basically scrapping the video that we made yesterday and shooting it again in smaller chunks. So basically the longer form video that we filmed yesterday is going to be split into 3 parts across all 3 of our channels. Today I'm going to be talking about mother-child relationships on Friends, and then at our end of the month wrap-up for next month, for May and June, Matt and I will be talking about Marley and Me book comparison, Angela's Ashes book-to-movie comparison, and Mother's Day content reviews for I'm Glad My Mom Died, Little Mermaid 2: Return to the Sea, and Kim Possible. And then Kathleen and I will be talking about Crying in H Mart, One Italian Summer. So, let me begin. I'm going to be talking today about child and mother relationships on Friends. Kathleen and I will be talking about Gilmore Girls in the video that we do together. So for the first characters I wanted to talk about are Ross and Monica. Their mom, Judy, who is played by Christina Pickles, is very similar to Emily Gilmore in that she is very manipulative because she plays favorites with Ross all the time, and I don't really understand why it's necessary for her to do this. She explains it to Monica in an early episode. I think it's in the one where Nana dies twice, where they're at the funeral, and she says the reason why she's abusive to her is because her mom was abusive to her. So that explains the situation, but it doesn't excuse her behavior and how she treats Monica so badly. I also feel like she manipulates her husband, Jack, who is played by Elliot Gould, to play favorites with Ross and Monica, but he seems to care about both of his children equally, and I don't think he lets the manipulation get in the way too much. The only scene where Judy Geller redeems herself is in the one with the dozen lasagnas, where she compliments Monica on how well she did on the catering of her luncheon and how delicious the food was. And she does admit in this scene to being a bitch, which I think is very humble of her to do. The next mothers I wanted to talk about are Carol and Susan. We don't see many scenes in the show of Carol and Susan being a mother to Ben as individuals. Basically, in all of the scenes we see them in, they are dropping off Ben at Monica's apartment because it is Ross's turn to have custody of him because Carol and Ross are divorced. The episode I wanted to focus on today is the one with the more metaphorical tunnel, which is season 3, episode 4. In this episode, Carol and Susan are dropping off Ben at Monica's because it's Ross's turn to have custody, as I alluded to, and Ross notices that Ben has a Barbie doll, and Carol and Susan explain to him that Ben picked the toy out himself, and it's his favorite toy. Ross then goes on through the rest of the episode to try to get Ben to play with more heteronormative toys, such as G.I. Joes. And Carol and Susan are not the only people in this episode to point out to Ross how childish and ridiculous and pathetic he's being. Rachel and Monica also point this out, and Monica goes on further to point out that she doesn't understand why Ross is making a big deal about playing with a Barbie, because he used to dress up in his mother's clothes when he was younger. So I will share a fan fiction chapter at the end that makes reference to this episode. Another episode that I wanted to mention is the one with the breast milk. This is from the beginning of season 2, where Ben is just born and Carol is nursing him on the couch, and Joey and Chandler are acting very immature because they think that the breastfeeding is gross, and Carol explains to them that it's just a natural way of doing things. And there is a scene in a recent episode of Gilmore Girls that I saw where Luke and Jess have a similar reaction to seeing a woman breastfeeding in Luke's diner as Chandler and Joey have to seeing Carol breastfeed. The next character that I wanted to talk about is Monica. She is definitely the mother of the friend group, and I feel like she acts this way as a way to compensate for how her mother abuses her and is neglectful towards her. Chandler points this out in a speech she makes to Erica in The One with the Birth Mother, where he says, "And one of these days I'll promise I'll be a good dad, but my wife, she's already there. She's a mother without a baby." I would have loved to see a spin-off show of Chandler and Monica raising Jack and Erica. And also, in my headcanon and fanfiction, I saw Rachel raising Emma as a single mother, because I just didn't see the marriage between Ross and Rachel working out. So in this spin-off series, obviously Rachel would be raising Emma on her own, and she would be in Paris working at Louis Vuitton. And eventually she would move back to the States and move into the same neighborhood as Chandler and Monica, so that way Emma and Erica and Jack could go to school together. Joey's mother is seen briefly in one episode for like 5 minutes, and we don't know a lot about the family dynamic, because the only time we see the rest of his family is in the episode where he has his birthday party and his 6 sisters come over for the party. Now, in reference to this episode, something that confuses me is that in the Joey's spinoff, for those of you who have seen it, we see Joey's sister Gina, the one who lives in California, with his nephew Michael. She is played by Drea Di Matteo, who was just in a movie I watched recently on Netflix with my mother called Nona's, which has Vince Vaughn in it, and it's about a guy who opens a restaurant where Italian grandmothers cook all the food, that which I recommend you check out. It's very good and very heartwarming. But the thing I wanted to point out about Gina is that she is not mentioned in the group of six sisters in Friends. And I know that there was one sister that was recast in a later season, the one who plays Dina. I think the actress who originally played her was doing something else, so that's why the actress is different in the episode where Dina asks Rachel for advice about telling Joey about her pregnancy. So that was the character I thought was going to be in the spin-off because she's pregnant, but when this new character, Gina, was introduced, I was really shocked and surprised because I really wanted to see Dina raising the son that she's pregnant with Bobby Corso. So now that we've gone into detail about Joey's family, let's move on to the next character. I'm actually going to be talking about Chandler in the video I do with Kathleen because I'm going to be talking about Friends, Lovers, and the Big Terrible Thing and talking about and comparing Matthew Perry's relationship with his mom to Chandler's relationship with his mother, Nora. So the next character that I wanted to mention in this is Phoebe. Her stepmother is killed when she's 13. She meets her birth mother at the end of season 3 when they go to Montauk Beach. Her mother, Phoebe Sr., is played by Terry Garr. Terry Garr recently died. She died at the end of last year. She had cancer and she was about 76 years old. So I really love her role as Phoebe's birth mother on Friends because you can see where Phoebe gets her quirkiness from. And I wish that they had done more episodes together, but I don't know if Terry Garr was busy at the time with other things because I don't really know what other movies she was in aside from Young Frankenstein. The last character I wanted to talk about is Rachel. Rachel comes from a very wealthy family, and I saw something in this post about Monica that says Rachel abandoned Monica to live a more wealthier lifestyle, but that post on Instagram really confused me because Monica and Ross's parents are also very wealthy, so I really don't think Rachel abandoned Monica to be in a high society life. So we meet Rachel's mom in season 2, episode 11, the one with the lesbian wedding. She is played by Marlo Thomas, who if you have watched Friends, you may also recognize Marlo Thomas from the St. Jude's Children's Hospital commercials. So in this episode, Rachel's mother, Sandra, tells Rachel that her and her father, who is played by the late Howard Liebman, are getting a divorce. In this scene between Marlo Thomas and Jennifer Aniston is really powerful and emotional. And the line that really hits me in the gut every time is, "You didn't marry your Barry, honey, but I married mine." And that kind of shows to me that Rachel's mom was probably not happy living in high society life and being married so rich. The other episode that we see her in is the one with the 2 parties. This is the episode that's closer to the end of season 2, where Rachel has to have 2 birthday parties, one at her and Monica's apartment and one at Chandler and Joey's apartment, to keep her parents separated so they don't argue and ruin her birthday. So another spin-off series I would have loved to see of Friends is how Rachel and her sisters, who were played by Christina Applegate and Reese Witherspoon, dealt with their parents' divorce, and how Emma dealt with having divorced grandparents. That would have been interesting to see. So as I just said, in this episode, Rachel has to have 2 separate birthday parties, split between her and Monica's apartment and Joey and Chandler's apartment, to keep her parents separated so they don't argue and ruin her birthday. And she says something really poignant, that all her husband cared about was his boat. And the reason why this line stuck out to me so much is because it really shows how lonely she must have felt, because her husband was so hyper fixated on his hobby and was probably not home very often because he was always doing that, and he probably didn't really chip in enough to raise his daughters either, because he was always busy with that. So that actually made me feel kind of bad for Rachel and Jill and Amy. So now, let me pull up my fan fiction. The chapter I'm going to read to you guys today makes reference to the story I was just talking about, the one with the metaphorical tunnel. TV shows. Friends. F. Pause for just a minute while I pull this up. Friends. I am coming up on it. Friends. Let's try page 5. While I pull this up, I just have a question for you guys. So in the episode where Rachel gives birth to Emma, and they're trying to decide on a name for the baby, Monica mentions that her names for her children would have been Emma and Daniel. So I was just wondering if you guys think that Monica read Harry Potter, because I'm assuming she must have if she came up with those names for her kids. And maybe Courtney Cox might also be a fan of Harry Potter, but I'm not really sure if she is. But weigh in the comments about that, please. I want to hear what you guys think. What the heck? Relationships. Oh, nope. Oh, here we go. Okay, series. All right, chapter index. Okay, so here's the fan fiction chapter that is inspired by the whole incident and the one with the metaphorical tunnel with Ben playing with a Barbie. So for those of you who have never heard of this fan fiction before, it's called the Westchester Files. It is set 6 years after the end of Friends. By this point, Rachel has moved back to, first of all, she does not get off the plane in the finale of Friends. Instead, she goes to Paris for her job at Louis Vuitton, raises Emma as a single mom, because as much as you see them getting along as parents to Emma in the episodes in the later seasons of Friends, I just didn't see them working as a couple because of all of the past issues they had with getting along with each other. I just never saw them working. So, in this story, Emma is in 6th grade, and Ben is in high school as a freshman, and he comes out as gay, and he is afraid to come out to Ross because of how he was homophobic against him with playing with the Barbie. Okay, and this takes place in family therapy with the therapist, Dr. Weinberg, who is mentioned by Judy in the one with the dozen lasagnas, when she says, "You're pulling another Monica," and Monica said, "You promised Dr. Weinberg you would never say that again." So Dr. Weinberg appears in like all of my Friends fan fictions that I wrote that are set after the end of the show. Even though you never see any therapy sessions in the show, though, those would have been interesting to see if they had done like intermittent scenes. Anyway, on the Wednesday after Labor Day, Phoebe picked Emma up from school. "Hey, Aunt Phoebe, where's Mom?" she greeted her aunt, kissing her cheek. "Carol called an emergency family therapy session and wants you to be there. Your mom is already at the counselor's office." Emma's eyes widened. "Is this about why Ben was acting so weird at the barbecue this weekend?" Phoebe nodded. "Yes, that's exactly what it's about." Emma leaned her head back against the headrest. "Hopefully, I'll figure out what's going on," she thought to herself. "Hello, you must be Emma." Oh, when she arrived at the counseling center, the receptionist led her back to the therapist's office. "Hello, you must be Emma. Welcome. Please have a seat," the therapist greeted her. "Okay," Emma said. Monica patted a seat next to her on the couch. "What's going on, Auntie Monica?" "You'll find out in a few minutes, honey," Monica replied. "Thank God, because I am so confused right now," Emma said. Carol cleared her throat. "As you all know, Susan and I recently lifted the child custody limitations against Ross. But we feel we might have done this hastily given the news our son has just told us." "I don't understand what's going on," Emma said. "I'm gay," Ben whispered. You mean you like boys?" Ben nodded. "Yes, Emma. I was hoping to bring my new boyfriend to Thanksgiving. I'm afraid to, though, because of Dad." Emma got up and hugged her brother. "That's great, Ben. I can't wait to meet them." Ben sighed. "I'm glad you feel that way, Em. Dad won't feel the same way, though. I know that he won't." "How do you know that?" "He didn't like me playing with Barbies, and that was a huge red flag." "What does that have to do with anything?" Ben burst into tears and turned away from his sister. Monica squeezed her niece's hand. "Emma, your dad is homophobic. This and his temper were the reasons that led Carol and Susan to get full custody of Ben in the first place. Daddy hasn't really had a great relationship with Susan at all for years." Emma looked confused. "What does that mean?" Rachel let out a huge sigh. "It basically means he won't accept your brother's sexuality, sweetheart." Emma gasped and covered her mouth. That's really mean. Rachel was crying. That's the main reason why Daddy and I aren't together, Emma. I lost respect for him when he would not hire a nanny for you because he was gay. Okay, I'm gonna pause for a second. So as the dialogue just stated, Rachel divorces Ross because of what happens in the episode, the one with the male nanny, where he decides not to hire the male nanny because he assumes that he's gay. Although, was he gay? Do people think that he was gay or not? Way down in the comments about that as well, because I'm really interested to see what you guys think. Personally, I don't think he was gay. He didn't come off to me as that way, but people may feel differently. Back to the story. Is that why you have full custody of me? Yes, and I'm pretty sure my custody agreement will not be changing. Rachel whispered. Monica got up from her spot on the sofa and sat down next to Ben and pulled her nephew into her lap. Your dad really does love you, Ben. You have to believe that. Ben looked up at his aunt. I really want to believe you, Auntie Monica. It's so hard to trust Dad's reactions, though. Ben buried his head into Monica's chest. Fresh tears came to the edges of Monica's eyes. Sweetheart, I am so sorry you are feeling this way. I never realized how much you have been hurting. I love you, Ben. Uncle Chandler loves you too. I promise you that everything will be okay. Monica kissed Ben's forehead gently and rubbed his back. I love you too, Auntie Monica, Ben whispered. Carol cleared her throat and looked at Emma sadly. Emma, unfortunately, your father's behavior has been really harmful to Ben. He is afraid that Ross will disown him once he finds out about his sexuality. That is why we had to put the child custody limitations against him back in place. Emma nodded. I understand that, Carol. That makes me very sad and angry. Carol nodded. Believe me, Susan and I are very sad about having to do this too. Your grandparents have resentment toward me as well for cheating on your dad with Susan. Do you think they would disapprove of Ben's sexuality too? Tears formed at the edge of Carol's eyes. I would like to hope not, sweetheart, but honestly, I'm not sure. This isn't fair. Emma screamed and started to cry. Rachel pulled Emma into her arms. We will help Ben through this, honey. Like Auntie Monica said, everything will be okay. Okay, but what about Daddy? I am not sure I can handle seeing him at Thanksgiving after hearing about this. Monica and Rachel looked at each other. Monica let out a long sigh. If your dad can't accept Ben for who he is, Emma, I'm not sure I am still going to invite him to Thanksgiving. His negative behavior has really impacted all of us. Aren't you going to talk to him, though, Auntie Monica? Monica nodded. I'll be talking to both him and your grandparents very soon. I am so sick of how your grandparents play favorites with your dad, and it really has to end. If it takes our family being divided over Ben's sexual orientation to make them realize their behavior has been horrendous, I really don't care. So, please let me know what you think of that fan fiction chapter. I will link the whole fan fiction down in the description box if you would like to read it. I did I did 2 series of Friends fan fictions. One that focuses on stories that are set during all 10 seasons, and this story is part of a collection of stories that are set after the show ended, and it basically leads up to Ben getting married to his husband and Emma also realizing that she is bisexual. So, happy Mother's Day. I hope you all pampered your mothers. Feel also free to share in the comments how you spent Mother's Day and what you did with your mother. And how you honor if your mother is no longer here, what you do to honor them on Mother's Day. Thank you. I hope you all have a good weekend, and I will be back. I hope you have a good week this week, and I will be back after the holiday weekend this weekend with a new reading update video. Thank you.